We are rounding out the day here at Pocket Gamer Connects in Seattle, and I am joined by two folks for our first double interview. If I get you to introduce yourselves, starting with you, sir.
My name is Marco Williams. I'm the CEO of Hashbang Games.
And my name is Billy Walker. I'm the Industry Relations Coordinator for the Academy of Interactive Entertainment.
And the reason that you're speaking to us together here is that the two things you do whilst different are interconnected, is that right? So I guess it sort of starts at your side, Billy, with the tuition stuff. What is it that you do?
So we're actually a specialist educator in games and film. So we teach courses like game art and animation, game programming, 3D animation, VFX for film, game design and production. So we teach students that are really interested in breaking into the game and film industry.
And where do you step in the process, Marco?
Well, we work with a number of AAA studios. We do game development services. We do things like integrate back-end services into games with PlayFab and Beamable, and various other platforms. We do client development. We do 3D art. And so we have a team of people that do game development. Along with working on our own games, we have our own IP that we develop.
So the idea, I guess, is that Billy, you sort of train them up, and then Marco, you actually give them the gateway into the industry.
That's right. Like they have postgraduate students that come out of the school. We interview them. They go through the same process that they would go through with any studio, but we're very accepting and inviting into the studio. So we take them in as early as internship. Sometimes they're postgraduates, and then we give them real world experience working on games in our studio. Sometimes we start them out like working on internal game projects that we have. They work underneath senior engineers, so they get that deep collaboration. And we at Hashbang feel very strongly about continued education. So the education doesn't just stop when they graduate AIE. We have a culture at Hashbang where we do lunch and learn sessions that senior engineers teach the junior engineers about clean code, writing clean architecture, and various other aspects. And sometimes it's not just the students that are learning. A lot of times our intermediate developers or even senior developers learn some new tricks that they've learned at AIE coming fresh out of school.
And Billy, from your perspective, what's the benefit of having a company like Marco's at the end of your tuition process, rather than just sending them off into the world with a handshake? Like, what's the plus side for you?
Yeah, so there's numerous benefits for us as a school. So obviously, we are always looking to place our graduates after they graduate from us. So we're not just sending them out into the world and fending for themselves. We want to make sure that they end up in a good career. Marco has obviously set up a great environment for them to continually learn, and he's very accepting of junior level positions. But past that, Marco is also very collaborative with us in the aspect of, hey, there are some gaps in your education. This is what I would look at, adjusting in the coming years. We're seeing a lot of this type of software that you're using, but the industry's kind of moving towards this type of software. So, studios like Marco really keep us on our game and make sure that we're teaching what's relevant in the industry at the time. So.
You must have a lot of experience with fresh students as opposed to hiring in, some people deal with veterans and they've got 5 years experience here and there. And in this case, maybe they're coming cold straight out of education. What are the most, I was going to say sort of common mistakes, but that seems a bit cruel, but the most common misconceptions maybe that new students have or that new graduates have about what it's going to be like to make a game?
Yeah, I think from a small indie game studio perspective, it feels very risky to bring on a junior developer. You don't know what the quality of work that they're going to do. You don't know if they know how long it's going to take to do things. And I would say that there is a pattern that we have developed by pairing more talented or more senior engineers with junior engineers that are coming in and creating a real mentorship. And it really eliminates that worry that these junior engineers aren't going to be able to do it. They come out of school very prepared. That's one of the biggest things that I didn't even realize when we first started working together is how much they actually know they come out, they already know how to build all the UI in Unity. They know how to write fairly decent, C#. They lack the experience of troubleshooting and trying to figure out problems, but that's what we help them learn over time. And so, I think the biggest challenges that you overcome is like finding the right fit, the right role to like put them in, but those are very easily overcome. You work with the engineers, the junior engineers when they first come in, but I keep saying engineers, but it's not just engineers. Like there's artists, we have artists that have come from AIE, we have animators that have come from AIE, but the fact is it's across all different types of talent, pairing them with more senior people and really getting familiar with their skill sets and placing them exactly where they need to be to help them kind of level up their abilities through real world experience.
Gotcha. This is something probably for both of you, but the analogy I'd use is when people are trying to form bands, there's always 100,000 guitarists and maybe 2 drummers. When you, in the games design world, what's the drummer? What is the one post or the one role that like there are very, very few of, and everybody leans towards what they consider to be the front, sexy kind of front man bit, Yeah. What do you have not enough of in the games making world?
So I'll go first, and it may be very different for you.
It might be, I don't know.
But I know I know everyone when they come in, they always want to be the lead character artist. They want to work on the main character, and the one thing that I always hear nobody wants to do is rigging. So no one ever wants to do the rigging on their groups, and everyone wants to be the lead character artist or the lead environmental artist.
No one wants to deal with T-poses all day long, no?
Nobody wants to do any of the rigging, correct. Yeah.
All right, what about yourself? Like, I mean, you must have lots of different opportunities and roles, but what do you find toughest to fill?
I feel like finding the right producer, the right game designer is really a struggle for us. Inherently, there's not a lot of really, really good game designers that have a lot of experience. There are, probably a good amount that don't have a lot of experience, and they don't get a lot of chance in the industry to like really prove out their theories about live ops and how to run games as a service, or how to increase retention in a game and monetization and create the right mechanics around it. So finding talented people that know how to design games really well is a really hard thing, and there just needs to be more of them, frankly. And same with producers. AIE has a really good producer track, and I'd love to see more talent go through that producer role. There's not very many schools out there that actually teach how to be a game producer. What you end up with is a lot of people that have project management experience. So they've worked at Microsoft, or they've worked at Amazon or Google, or maybe a handful of smaller software development companies, but not necessarily games. And that is a different breed of agile development. It requires a slightly different take on project management from a skill set perspective. You kind of tend to mix a producer with design, and that makes a really good producer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And from both of you, again, what would you give as a piece of advice to, in your case, Billy, new students who wish to enroll and are looking to get the most out of the course? And from your perspective, Marco, when people are stepping into their first game design role, what would be the kind of little bit of advice you'd give?
Yeah, good question. So I would say for the incoming students, do as many intro level courses as you can. Like, we offer introduction courses into our program, we offer summer camps into our program, so it's always good for the student to be a little bit familiar before they even get there. But then once they're there, just dig in. I mean, it's a 2-year curriculum, so you're not even going through a standard 4-year curriculum. You're only there for 2 years, so just put in the work, right? It's going to be a grind for 2 years, but we are non-academic, so they're not having to do the math, history, English, science, so they're just there to learn game programming. They're just there to learn game art. So it's like, dig in, be prepared. When you're there, be there. When you're off, work on your projects. You've only got 2 years to really master those skills. The students that put in that extra work are the ones that find a job even before they graduate, right? it's kind of a no-brainer to just, if you're there, be present, put in the work.
Yeah, on my side, I think the advice is making sure you know the core concepts. Like, AIE gives you a good foundation, and you have to kind of continue that learning on your own, even post graduating, post getting a job somewhere. The interviews that you're going to go through, even at a junior level, as an entry level into a game development studio, they're going to be tough. They're going to be hard questions to answer, and you have to really do some extra studying and make sure that you're prepared for these interviews. So, like, going in, as a developer, you need to know, a lot about, design patterns and and C# and how all the ins and outs of Unity, and keep that stuff fresh in your mind. As a designer, you may need to study different, mechanics around, monetization or engagement, or what gotcha means, and there's different levels, but you want to keep your skill set very fresh, work on your own projects, maybe even do some game jams. Those are very valuable to really hone in your skills and your ability. And then when you're, approaching a company, you're going to be very well prepared.
Gotcha. And if people were looking to approach both of you or either of you, how would they go about doing that? Marco, starting with you.
They can go right on to our website, hashbanginc.com, and we have a career section. They can apply for positions right through our website.
And we're AIE.edu. So essentially, we have one website for each campus. We have a Lafayette website and a Seattle website. Once you log into AIE.edu, it'll take you right to the correct one. So, yeah.